Welcome back to Small Talk with RainKraft. Have you heard? We're in season 2.
Hi everyone, this is Hasita.
And this is Subha. And today we thought we'll just do a little bit of a true small talk, just freewheeling it with each other on some things which are on our mind. So what's on your mind, Hasita?
First and foremost, Subha, the fact that we're in the same office, for sure. It just seems so strange and nice, in a nice kind of way. And I've also been thinking a lot about Clubhouse. Thank you for sharing your invite with me. Been having a lot of fun. How are you finding Clubhouse?
Yeah, even I'm kind of hanging out there once in a while. And it's interesting, no? These campaigns which start as, it's invite only and it's exclusive. And now apparently supply is greater than demand.
Yeah, and clearly, in fact, Clubhouse is now sending me notifications saying they're just giving you a free invite. Do you want to invite somebody? And I'm like, no, I think I'm good, thank you. Yeah, but I do like the idea of an app that needs more of your presence and to be sort of more mindful about consumption, because if you're there, you're in that room, and if you're not, then you're missing out. So I think it really turns the idea of the fear of missing out or FOMO on its head. So I'm really happy with that bit.
So true. I think the bit about that is also that I hence forget sometimes that I could get into a Clubhouse room. Because there's no notification, there's no reminder, there's no concept of just scrolling through, because you're either in the room listening to someone or there's no point of being there.
Yeah. And also it's really brought to the fore, or maybe it's happened at a time when we are all in isolation mostly. The idea that you can actually listen to someone speak, because different forms of communication provide different value, right? Like a text message is very efficient, but then the soul is not in it really. So can you get to know someone over a text message? But at the same time, when you are on Clubhouse, and I think that's the appeal as well, all of these people, like today I think Bill Gates was in a room, and there were 3 overflow rooms because there wasn't enough space in that one room for people to listen. And the point is, Bill Gates as a person has been on social, or he's been on shows, or he's written books. But then the fact that we are there listening to him in that moment is probably what is making a lot of difference to a lot of people.
Right. So true. And the fact also that if you weren't there, you've missed it. So there isn't a post to catch up on or a recording to watch or listen to. So if you've missed it, you've missed it. So just move on and join the next room that interests you. Yeah. So I think really the here and now is what is appealing to a lot of us. Apart from the fact that for me, audio is always an appeal. Yeah. So it lets me do other things while I listen and while I'm still present there. And I don't find it as intrusive as on my time as video is perhaps. So that's a great plus. But I like the point you make about really getting to know the person. I was in one room which were really a lot of women content creators, and some of them, or I'd rather say most of them really excelling in their field. I hadn't heard of them, but very quickly you get a sense of their personality, what are the kind of work that they probably do and why they do it, just from listening to their thoughts on content creation. There was another room last night with Kunal Bal, the founder of Snapdeal, and who's now a VC, etc. And just to hear him say, I could extend this for another 20 minutes because my kids are sleeping and my wife's gone out for dinner and, blah, blah, and this is what my day is like. It gives you...
so raw and so real, right? These people are also having the same issues that I am at this point in time. So, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it really humanizes all of us for each other in this period of very limited face-to-face interaction. So that's been good. But one thing I've noticed that some of, or rather many of these really senior or very visible personalities have really cracked how to introduce themselves, or they know what they want to say about themselves in the 10 or 20 seconds that they get. And they really make an impact with the few words that they have selected. And I think a lot of us have so much to learn from that.
So true. And in fact, the elevator pitch, the dreaded elevator pitch that so many of us, I think we aspire to nail, but then like when I talk to clients, or I think when you do as well, we always ask them, why are you doing this and who are you in the whole picture. And a lot of times that question is not easy to answer, though it sounds so simple. And likewise, I find that when I have to pitch to somebody, I become different people based on the requirement. So maybe that's not really the pitch at all. So speaking of which, like if you look at some of their bios as well, they are so on point. Some of them are not really afraid of asking people, I have enough followers here, just come and follow me on Instagram, which is something that I would never have thought of putting out there. In fact, my Clubhouse bio is woefully short because I still haven't figured out what to say. And this pitching bit, where does that come from, right? Like, how do you know with so much confidence that this is what you do, that you're able to articulate in like 10 seconds? Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, and it's been so true, and it's been something I've been thinking about, because it comes up in almost every interaction that I have, especially with individuals. And typically I see them in the context of a coach or somebody who's helping them with their professional growth. So they've come to me for a resume or for a mock interview, or just to talk through some challenges at the workplace. And many times when you start with a simple why are you here? Why have you chosen to have this conversation with me? And what are you looking to get out of this, right? Or if I ask them, why do you need this resume? Right? And it's interesting how many times they don't have an answer to that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Many of us don't. And also it's such a fundamental question at the end of the day, right? If someone asks me, why do you do what you do, then I think we are kind of heading into the territory where I can talk about it for an hour, and there'll be so many reasons and there'll be so many determinants as to why I have given that answer at that moment in time. But how do we go about becoming more sure of these things? Maybe that is the beginning, right? Before I can really pitch myself, I need to know for sure that this is why I'm doing it, and therefore that's where it's stemming from. How does anyone, for that matter, really go about drilling down to that level and saying this is what I do and this is why I do it?
And I think it starts with just that, Hasita. I think it starts with asking the why, which we don't do very often. We are so much into operationalizing and looking at or defining the outcome that we don't start with, the reason for this path itself, right? So when I ask someone, why are you here wanting to refresh your resume? And the answer is not always, I want to get a job, or I want to get a new job or a different job. And the answers will surprise you, because they range from, I just want to see what I'm worth in the market, right? And that really tells you that they're looking to convince themselves to stay where they are sometimes.
Yeah.
And they need the data or the information to support that. Yeah. Or sometimes they will say that I just want to take a step back and see what all I've done. Mm-hmm. And hence, what do I want to do next, right? Yeah. And that typically comes from someone with more of a learner's mindset, or just curious, saying, am I on the right path, or is there have I gone into too much of a specialization or too much of a niche? What is my bio really saying about me? And so there are many reasons, or rather many answers to the why, and it's important because it forms your next steps, or it informs you of your next steps so well and so beautifully.
Yeah. What I'm also hearing from what you're saying is that fundamentally there is this question that we are trying to answer, and that is, am I good at this? And I know that we all ask it at some point and on some level, and it is a world that's changing very rapidly. So sometimes it's completely all right to feel left out, and therefore you, in doing these things, because I did this like last week, I was applying, or I was rather going through a pitching process with a client that I probably am not the right fit for, and the client knows this as well. But at the same time, both of us are going through the process, because for me, it's giving me a certain amount of confidence in saying, okay, I can still do this, right? So maybe that's what it really is about sometimes, about identifying what it is that you're good at and trying to get a neutral perspective on that.
Yeah, no, so true. And I think that's why it helps to think about little things like, if I'm in a Clubhouse room and I'm given the opportunity to speak, and I have to just quickly say 2 lines before I get to the question or the point I want to make, what am I going to say about myself? Why will it appeal to this audience? And why will it be what I want them to know about me
So
in the
true.
context of this room, right? And you're right, like you said, there will be different answers to that and different personas that you will put out there depending on the audience, right?
Yeah.
So
So what we're saying is it's perfectly all right to have a different pitch for a different situation.
very much.
As long as you know that the fundamental tenet of it stays the same, or at least consistent, if not the same, because we are people and we adapt and we evolve over a period of time. So I guess the gift wrapping does continue to change, as long as the gift inside is fairly consistent.
Yeah. And that really comes back to the fact that we are all a work in progress, right? So it's probably even taken me these 4-5 years to figure out which me is joining the room, so to speak, right? So where am I in that group as a coach? Where am I in that group as someone who's done leadership roles? Where am I in that group as someone who's running a business and a team and trying to enable businesses with content, etc. So I think it's and it probably is always going to be a work in progress, but asking why I'm doing that work and why I'm in that room really helps inform me of the way I want to be seen in that room.
That makes a lot of sense, and perhaps that will also help me raise hands more often, which is something I really don't do, because if they ask me who are you, then I really don't have a good enough answer in that moment. So yeah, probably I will be raising more hands once I answer that question. So yeah,
that's great. I think next time maybe we can move small talk with RainKraft to a Clubhouse room and get more of you to join in with us and just chat with us, right? That's the whole idea of Clubhouse. So maybe we'll do that, Hasita. We'll put out a nice little room. I don't know. We have to figure out how to do that, right?
True.
We have to.
That's so true. We haven't yet figured out how to name rooms, so we'll do it. We'll get there. And
we'll get there, just like we didn't know how to make a podcast, and we're in season 2, so we'll get there on Clubhouse too. So
thank you so much for tuning in, and this is very impromptu. It was the most organic conversation that I think we've ever recorded and put out. So if you have any thoughts on this, and we hope you have thoughts on this, please let us know, and see you next time.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Small Talk with RainKraft. We'd love to hear from you too. Drop us a voice note at speakpipe.com/RainKraft. That's speakpipe.com/RainKraft. We'd love to hear your stories, feedback, and topic requests. Small Talk is now available across a whole range of podcast platforms. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Castbox, Anchor, and so many more. Do visit our website for direct links. Bye.